On this episode of Two Dudes, One Cart, John and I sit down to continue our Leveling Up Your Game series, and we're also going to talk about things going on in golf. Why you suck, or do you suck? So stay tuned, sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of Two Dudes, One Cart podcast. And as always, we appreciate you listening. Well, all right, everybody. The boys are back together. Sitting here with John. John, how you doing tonight?
Oh, dude, if I was doing any better, I'd be you, buddy.
Well, I wanted to kind of continue our leveling up series, but let's get a little conversation going about all this stuff going around about guys that think they can take down these LPGA tour players.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that? I mean, I know we've seen some stuff on the YouTubes and we see how good they are, but yet we still got these guys roaming around that think that, oh, bring her to my home course, I'm gonna smoke her.
Yeah. I would say a majority of normal golf, non-professional male golfers, I'd say probably 99.9% of them would get their ass whooped by the top LPGA player.
Yeah, I don't think they quite get the respect that they deserve, and I don't think that people really understand that their proximity with long irons is what your proximity or what a plus handicap players is with a 9 iron,
Yeah.
or fairly close.
Yeah.
But I'm saying
their
it's
putting's
pretty
awesome.
close,
I mean, their putting's great.
right?
And they're great putters. They're great with their wedges around the greens. Do they hit it 310 yards? No. Some of the top five probably can crank it up there into the 300s with the right conditions.
Right. How far down in the rankings of the LPGA do you think one has to go to where a plus handicap amateur golfer could actually viably win? And I'm not talking like the Matt Votes of the world, stuff
Yeah.
like that. I'm talking about your guy that's winning a club championship at his country club, those guys. I
Yeah.
mean, and I know there's outliers, but how far down do you think you have to go for that? Seems
Yeah, I mean, I said top
reasonable.
50, but that's probably not low enough. I mean, you could probably go down to, top 75, top 100 even. If I take our club champion or our King of the Hill champion and put them up, the top 100, obviously I think the top 25, you're probably going to smoke them. At least two, probably more. If they played a 4-day series, did a 4-day stroke play tournament, they'd probably get smoked by at least two a day, probably four, closer to four. And then outside of that 50 to 100 range, maybe our guys would be able to compete with them on our course.
Right.
Now, if you play a LPGA course set up to those conditions, that might change too. I think it would be harder for the club
Well,
pro or the local.
even if you took a neutral course
Yeah.
and you said, hey, for instance, let's just use foul. Okay, you're going to take a run at it and you're going to play whatever LPGA player and you're playing it at foul. You're playing at a course that's going to challenge you,
Yeah.
and it's not your home course. Because I mean, if you gave an LPGA player at any local country club in in the Indiana area, and you let them get a couple practice rounds in, I don't think it's going to make much difference.
Yeah, I mean,
But I
especially
think
Ewan, like there's holes out there, right? Like even Blair, he's played Ewan before, but it was a while, right? That he played that course. Like second time around, he would have probably done a couple things different.
yeah,
In
but
10 years.
I think what'll shine through in there is the consistency. I mean, you go over 4 days. This is the day in the life. This is average stuff for an LPGA player or most tournament players, whether that's Challenge Tour, whether that's Epson Tour, or whatever. The consistency, I think, will shine through.
Yeah, I mean, because LPGA, set up around 64 to 7,000 max ish.
Yeah.
I see in 22 they played at 67, 60 at Mission Hills. They have also played as low as 63.25, which is how long Ewan is from the tips, right?
Right.
At the minimums side. So you had a minimum max 62 to 6,800. That's what most of us play at our local golf courses. And
Yeah.
these chicks are playing,
Yeah.
I'd say, more difficult courses than most of our local courses. The greens are going to be lightning. Conditions are probably perfect. So I don't think they're going to have any problem with I don't think distance is their problem when they're shooting, 22 under on a 4-day weekend.
Yeah, and I think also the fact that we're getting to see what they were just at Aaron Hills, I think. So the women are getting a chance now at some of the more predominantly male tournament location sites. So I think it's really going to show up when people get to see him play where the PGA plays basically on a lot of courses that are, your Shinnecock's and stuff like that. I think that's really going to shine through. But I just struggle every time I hear somebody talk about that. And now, of course, we know Barstool Sports is getting behind that to
Yeah.
get this going. And I think it's going to be an eye opener.
Yeah, I just don't see any like disadvantage for the LPGA Pro, right?
Right.
The courses are going to be easier. The distances are going to be the same, most likely, or real close to it either way. And I mean, I don't see anybody in our club championship playing Ewan at 6 under both days. But
Well,
maybe.
and then you introduce, are there going to be people there? There's going to be cameras
Yeah.
there. And you're always going to hear the excuse of, well, that's all they do, blah blah blah. Well, you're the one that said you wanted to challenge them.
It's like when Riggs always brings out those just shit
The
talking.
haters. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of anything that would make the LPGA be at a disadvantage, and it's skill. So like all the features are set up the same. Besides, the course
Yep.
conditions are probably going to be less, not as high quality as what the LPGA is used to playing. So I think the top 100 LPGA players could probably beat, the top 5 lowest handicap players at every local course, majority of the time.
Yeah, I would. That would be my guess too. I mean, you may have an outlier in there, but
Yeah, I mean that's golf though,
I just
right?
don't.
No one's Scotty.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only one Scotty Scheffler that's just proven that, or Tiger Woods in his day that could be that consistent. But if you get the top 100 LPGA players and put them in a 200-person tournament against the top, 5 handicap players at every Indiana club, private club, and they played from 68 to 6,400 yards, I think the LPGA is going to win 80 out of the 100 matches.
Oh yeah. I definitely agree with that. I find it pretty hilarious. I'm sure there's somebody out there that could get it done because it's like the term any given Sunday. But if you do it over multiple days, I just don't see it happening. I just don't see guys putting up those kind of numbers consistently. And as long as the LPGA player is completely engaged with what's going on,
They take it serious.
oh yeah,
I mean, they come out, let's say it's a Saturday, Sunday. They come out
right,
Friday. They do their 2-hour warm up routine. They go play a practice round Friday. So they're ready for Saturday, Sunday. I
right,
think most of those, I think 80% of them get their ass whooped. I
oh
think
yeah,
that 20% in Indiana at the, whatever. So we got 2 people from each club, 5 people from each club. So, you got 20 clubs in Indiana, let's say. You get 5 from each of them. Yeah, there's going to be some guys that just have a day, right? But it's going to be a
mm-hmm.
minuscule amount compared to the majority.
Well, John, what do you think about? I know it's early. I know that Ryder Cup is coming. I find myself remembering the last Ryder Cup and now the fact that there's going to be money involved. And to be quite honest, it really turns me off about the event. That that for some reason these guys that are, they're already making millions and millions of dollars, and now they're going to get paid to now play in the Ryder Cup.
Yeah. I mean, I don't care. It doesn't bother me either way. I kind of like the Olympics. We don't need to pay them to go play in the Olympics. It just seems that's the way everything's going. I bet
I know.
the PGA guys didn't complain that they're not getting paid to do it. There's probably 1 or 2.
Yeah, but
It's all about the money.
it's just one of those things you're like,
You
dude,
got the honor to play,
you just, yeah,
right?
yeah, it's a big deal,
Yeah.
and you work to get there, and I understand that, but the fact that goes on your resume that you played in the Ryder Cup, it disturbs me, and I just think it's another difference. You look at the European team, they're like, well, they don't want to be paid. They do it for country, they do it for play, and I would just much rather our guys be the same way.
I see both sides of it. I mean, I would rather just have them not get paid and go back to like kind of what I said about just the honor. Like I appreciate the opportunity to be
Right.
able to represent the United States and kind of bring back that, call to do, even if it's just, hey, we'll pay you. We'll cover the USA PGA, will cover the board and transportation.
Right.
No monetary gift or value, but hey, we're taking care of rooms, bags, setups, and meals. Like I get that, right? Just like you would do in a college event or any NFL team event when they're traveling, right? They're going to get a hotel block of rooms. They're all staying in the same place. They go eat all their meals together. That way, there's a lot of camaraderie and getting the vibes right.
Well, it's, it is what it is. I just don't care for that, but I'm not in charge of the money either.
Yeah.
So, John, how much does what we see and hear on television affect our expectations of our own golf game, do you think?
I mean, I don't watch PGA and go, oh man. Now, back in the day when I used to watch the Masters, I will say, watching the majors, the three majors that I like, which you are in the same, minus the Open, right? I do get kind of jacked up. And I go, oh,
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to go out and play really good after watching this.
Right.
But all other TV events doesn't do anything for me as far as like of my own game.
Yeah, I just think that you hear a lot of stuff on, you hear a lot of stuff that's not 100% correct on some broadcasts. I just wonder how many people take some of that stuff in consideration. Like I know we've talked about in the past that, we're only seeing 0.001% of the best in the world, and we're only seeing the highlights when somebody, basically puts one to 2 or 3 feet. I mean, every once in a while, if you're in the final group, somebody might flare it right, 160 yards out, might be left of a bunker and have to chip over the bunker. But sometimes I think that people watch that, just like you said, and they're like, oh, and they go out there and they have, these guys make it look so easy. And then their expectations just mount. And then they're totally frustrated when they get on the first tee and duff one 40 yards. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's just called reality hitting you in the forehead. I, Even watching some of like I watched the last live games. I watched the Phil and Horvat 2v2s. I would get amped up if I was playing with Phil and I was his partner. And another
Right.
live invited me as a guest. Like I would get amped up for that. Like right, I would have some expectations. I'm going to play better golf with just being in that the presence of them, right? And just like when I play golf with Jeremy, you know, it's just I play better. Evidence is there. We talk through the shots, kind of like when you and I talk through shots. Hey, do we hit just a full 7 here? Do we bump it up to a 6 and go 3/4? You know, a lot of times I don't even like with Jeremy. I don't even ask for the yardage. I just tell him to hand me a club. I want him to shoot it and hand it, and I just won't even look at it.
I think that's a really good point that I don't want to pass up is the fact that how often, let's say you're going to go out and play whatever the round is, how often are you mentally just kind of talking through that shot with yourself where let's say you're just in the rough and you're like, okay, I got 160 to the pin, maybe it's 140 to cover a bunker, you got a little wind into, but then you're looking down at your lie, you're in the rough, and you're like, there's a good chance this is going to fly
Yep.
and not have any spin,
Yep.
or there's a chance I'm going to have some spin. So which of those numbers are you going to take? You're going to go, okay, my pin's 160, say your bunker's 140. Are you just going to play like a 150 shot? And that way, I mean, do you talk it through like that in your head on a normal round?
Most time I'm just on autopilot if I'm playing by myself. I don't know if I do a lot more when I play by myself and I'm not taking it as serious. Going back, man, I should have done this. Where the shot you should hit, but the biggest one is you think your ball's like 30 yards off the fairway or off the green. You got a greenside bunker and you're like, oh, I'm gonna have to flop it, right? And you get over there and you got plenty of grass between you and the flagstick. And instead of hitting the 60, you should go back to the cart, grab like a 54. So yeah, I think a good thing would be to think of like how much better would the average player play if he had a caddy with him, 50% of the time when they're actually playing. Like, let's say you're in a men's club at a country club, right? You play Saturday and Sundays. Like if you got your own caddy every time that knew your game, knew your distances, knew how you played,
Right.
would you play better with that person walking through the entire 18 holes with you on Saturday and Sunday versus you going out there with just your regular foursome and you're playing individually all the time?
Yeah, what I was kind of leaning to is to see if you thought you played that you hit better shots when you follow that process, like you're caddying for yourself internally, or maybe you're even you're pretty verbal on the course. We talked
Yeah.
about this before. You kind of talk out loud.
Yeah.
Do you feel like your shot and your result is better when you take that 4 or 5 seconds, take in the numbers, and talk that shot out?
Yeah, I don't even know if it's any additional time for for you or I, honestly. We might be able to shave on some of the times. We might be able to shave off 5 to 10 seconds, or let's say 30 seconds. Let's be realistic, probably 30 seconds, right? Going back and grabbing a different club or something. It just depends if I verbalize my thought process because I think we're all thinking of something when you first, get out of the cart. You're gazing down at the green where the pin's at. Your visual, you're taking in where the bunkers are at, whether it's uphill, downhill, slope. Where's the slope going on this green? Like all that is coming at you instantly, right? And you, like I
Right.
say, for me, probably for you, like we realize that really quick. I mean, by the time my foot gets out of the cart and hits the ground, I pretty much know what I want to do. Most
Yeah,
shots.
and I do too, but I mean, if I'm in the fairway, it's a little different than when I'm in the rough. But I've noticed I've made a more conscious effort to really look at my lie.
Yeah,
Like if
yeah, definitely in the rough.
if I'm on a little bit, yeah, if I'm a little bit on an upslope, even in the fairway, I'm like, okay, I need to get a little shoulder tilt with the slope because
Yeah,
if not, I'm gonna chunk it. If I'm in the rough, I have to think about whether or not how clean a contact I'm actually going to get on the backside of the ball to where I can. I mean, you can't always predict it, but to where you can go. There's some grass in between here. This is probably going to be a
yeah,
flyer, so I probably need to dial back. And I've tried to make more of an effort to figure out what I need to carry, whatever it is, the front edge, what I got between
yeah,
that and the pin and wind. I've never done that a whole lot, but my game is trending to where if I do that and I talk those things out, the outcome is probably 85%
yeah,
better than ever. It's like picking a target off the tee. If you get up there and you don't know where you're going, well, you're going to hit that. You're going to hit nothing because you don't know where you're going. But if you go up there and you pick an actual target and that's what you're swinging towards, I've found a lot of times for me with driver, that's been working out really well is to have a thought process of where I want this ball to go. Right or
yeah.
wrong, I may
Either way.
put myself in hazard, never played there. But I was just curious if you ever saw that same pattern and when you're playing, 'cause I think it's super helpful, especially if somebody's just starting out in the game. If you keep that stuff
Yeah,
going, then you get into the speeds that we play normally because that stuff just it starts clicking right when you're getting out of the cart. Okay, I feel some wind. I probably should go up a club.
yeah,
I'm on the fairway. I should be good with this as a number, and it's going to land and roll out. And, I'm pitching to a number, and I'm playing for some
for
rollout.
sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, whether you vocalize that or you just go through it internally in your mind, right? I think that's good. I mean, I would say similar to you, the rough, I'd take a little bit more time. Going down the
Yeah.
fairway in a
Yeah.
cart, you can see where your ball's at in the fairway. Minus being in a divot, right? You're going to have a good lie, right?
Right.
So it's not really a lie thing. All you're going to be looking at is pin location, distance to the hole, front, middle, back, whatever, slope, and then you're looking at wind, right? Or potentially
Yeah.
if it's early or afternoon round, right? Early, if the ground's wet, you're going to create more spin. Ball's not going to go as far, like Mickelson always describes in a lot more detail. But in the rough, like yesterday on the par five, I pulled it left rough. I was in between. I was like, I grabbed a 3 wood out until I got over to the ball, but the ball was sitting too far down for me to hit a good contact with the 3 wood. So then I went back out, just grabbed a 5 iron, and punched it 200 yards.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, I think it's good information that people are listening to see if they do it. I don't care if you've played for 20 years or you're a plus handicap. any of that could help your game. You may do it already, you may not
Yeah.
do it, but I think it's really good. It's been really good for me, especially even in the fairway when you're on a, depending on the course, but if you're on a link style course where you've got some undulations in the fairway and your ball may be sitting up or down a little bit, looking at that and understanding what potentials hazards could happen for you just making contact with this ball, as opposed to not looking at it all and then wondering why you chunked it and then looking down and go, oh, you know what? I probably should have just tilted my shoulders with the slope a little bit, or ball below your feet, should have took a little bit longer club, all the
Yep.
normal stuff you should do. And we say it's normal, but some of our listeners, they're probably like, you're supposed to do that?
Yeah. Some people probably
You
wouldn't
know,
know
the
that.
ball above your feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, ball above your feet's
Goes to the low.
supposed to draw, ball below your, yeah, supposed to cut. It doesn't always happen. You'd be surprised what your hands can do to shut the
Yeah.
face to keep that ball straight when you think it's going to cut, and all of a sudden you hit a bullet straight out of
Straight,
there.
straight
We've
in.
all had that happen and paid for it. So my next question is kind of like, do amateurs actually suck at golf, or are we better than we think we are, in the fact of, like, going back a little bit to the TV, going back to what we see? I think there's a lot of it comes down to we don't give ourselves as much credit as probably we should and feel more positive about our game. A lot of the people in our normal golf group, we're out, 150, 160 yards. You're hitting the green. We don't have too many people that are getting wayward from that distances. We play with some pretty damn good
Yeah.
golfers, and we're a pretty big sample size of what the
Yeah.
amateur community, if you will. And that's why I'm saying, do you think we have these lousy expectations? And it could fall play. It'd be the same thing if you're watching creator style golf. You're seeing this and you're like, wow, I wish I was that good. And you're like, but are you really that far off? I mean, you may have a little kink in your short game, or maybe your putting's not great, or you're having trouble off tee, whatever it is. If you dialed that in, what would your round look
Yeah.
like? I think it's come down to, do you, I don't know how wise it is to really base everything off your actual score at the end of the round. It comes down to, you're a 40-hour working week guy or 60-hour working week guy. You really don't hit the range. You're out here, you're shooting whatever, 90s. But how many shots were you really horrible at?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
I just wonder, do we beat ourselves up? Do we really suck? Or is it just the fact that we're just kicking our own ass mentally for stuff that we shouldn't?
well, we've talked about it a
You
lot.
know
I
what I'm
mean,
saying?
if I were to go out and play basketball right now, I would absolutely. I don't even know if I could hit the rim. In the first 10 shots and done
Right.
it. So the people that play, 10 rounds a year, like, what expectations do you have? Like, you can't have many. You know.
No, I totally agree. And I like to talk it out because I want people to listen to this and understand. Like, I know we've had this conversation on several podcasts to a certain extent, maybe not on the exact same topics, but if that would be, I think, the best thing for amateur golf, that if people started to understand that, hey, you're really not playing that
Yeah.
bad.
All of
You're
this.
really not.
Don't keep score.
You think you are, but you're not.
Don't keep score. If you're only going to go play golf
Well, then
times a year, why do you even need a scorecard?
I think it's just because that's just, and it's probably, I know it's in women too, but I think whenever we're playing a sport, there has to be a winner and there has to be a loser. You want to know where you stack up. It's competitive nature. I don't know too many people that we play golf with that aren't competitive.
Yeah. I mean, it just depends on what the game. I mean, if there's a game, or if there's no game, I don't really give a crap. There's no winner. What'd you win? You can't win anything. You shot the lowest round today. Get a big whoop.
Right.
We weren't playing for anything.
Right.
You know.
How often do you think it is that we are just attempting shots that are outside of our talent level that cost us a significant amount of strokes in a round? I mean, how often do you think that,
Yeah,
let's
rounds
say,
you're going to try something that you probably shouldn't try.
well, it's like we were talking in the rough. I've seen people all the time, want to take a wood or a hybrid into some rough. And I'm like, even if it's bare heather and you have spots, I'm like,
Yeah.
that's really a bad call in my book. I'm like, that ball's going to start low and you're going to hit a heather stalk and it's just going to go straight down. At some point you got to be like, let's minimize the
Yeah.
damage. Let's just, go to maybe a pitching wedge or not something to get the
Yeah.
ball up quick and get out of there. But I think that's more often is the case where you're just everybody's trying to pound it down there. Get it as close to you, get as close as you can, get as close as you can, and you take a shot that's super high
Yep.
risk. Let's say if the risk level is 0 to 10, I bet a high percentage
Yeah.
of guys are playing at the 8
Yeah. So you'll get a kick at this.
all
You
the
get a
time.
kick out of this. So yesterday, Leffler and I were playing, from the golf trip, Mike,
Yeah,
and I hit it on 9 into 18 fairway, but I didn't hit it far enough into 18 where I had a clear shot to go up and over the trees. So then I got a row of like
right.
10 trees 10 yards apart from each other. Hey, Mike, I'm just gonna hit this punch cut 4 iron between one of these two groups of trees. I'm 200 out. I'll just have it roll right up there. And he goes, a 19 handicap now, right? So I have a 19
Right.
handicap telling me just play it up to 18 and hit it on the green, get your free drop, chip it up onto 9 and call it a day. I go, ooh, let's do that. Because that could hit a tree, come back, had a tree go left or right either way. I could go straight and it doesn't cut and you're out of bounds. But I think you get overconfident in a shot, or you try something that is very, if you're a stats, I don't know, somebody that likes stats, however you say that,
That attention.
statistician, you're not going to hit on, if you're playing blackjack, you're not going to hit on 20 very often. And that's not what that shot was. It's my 1 out of 20 shot of me actually hitting a punch cut 200 yards out and thinking I'm going to end it up on the green.
Yeah, when I was thinking about this for this podcast, I had to chuckle because it reminds me of one of the funniest things you've ever said on the golf course to me. We were at West Chase, and I cannot remember what the hole number is, but the green's kind of hidden behind some trees. And I want to say it's a reasonable par four. I was playing okay, but I was struggling. And we're down there in the fairway, and I've got those trees in my way. And you're like, well, just hit it out there to the left, and then you can just chip up on there. And I take a 6 iron and I go right up over the tree, and you're like, well, I didn't know you were dialed. Go straight at the
Yeah,
flag.
either way.
What do you think the 5 major failures are for amateurs on the golf course? I think we narrowed down that that's one, is that the fact that you're just taking way more risk than
Yeah.
necessary.
Course,
And I'm not
yeah.
saying this
Course
for the
management.
guy that's playing 10, yeah, the guy that's playing 10 times a year. I'm not saying this to you, although you could score better if you
Yeah.
played a different way, but I know we all say, "Hey man, layups are for basketball." With some course management, save yourself, 2, 3, depending on the guy, 8 strokes of just eliminating dumb risks. It's like, hey, I can hit this 10-foot window, although I couldn't hit a 40-yard wide
Yeah.
fairway.
Yeah.
What do you think the other ones
Yeah.
are?
So if we got course
Or what's
management,
another one
right?
from you?
That's why I think like those, playing lessons are really good because your pro will talk you
Right,
through the course management. I would say one would be right off the bat, and it's the first thing you do when you get to the course is like properly warming up. I
right.
mean, that's not just hitting balls, that's stretching, rolling some putts, hitting a couple chips, maybe hit a pitching wedge, a 7 iron, and some type of utility wood, and then go chip 5 or 10 balls, and then go roll 10 putts. I don't know how many times. Well, I know I never practiced chipping at Ulan. The last 3 rounds at Ulan, I didn't even putt because I already know these greens, right? And they can change every day. So I think that's a big one. Is before you even golf, you got to be ready to golf. And so I
Right.
think if you are conscious and make a repetitive motion on, your warm up before the round, I think that would be a big help for golfers.
Okay, so we have course management, warm up. I think club selection is also huge. It's,
Yeah, you're going to
it's
come
a
up
lot.
short more than you're going to go long.
And that's what the statistics show. It's high. I mean, it's upwards 80 some percent, I think, if I looked it up, maybe be
Yep.
higher than that, that amateurs constantly come up
Yep.
short, do not take enough club. And mixed into that is going to be knowing the distances of your clubs.
Yeah.
And sometimes you find out that day. You don't, I mean, like we said, you don't play a
Yeah.
lot. Typically maybe your 9 irons
Yeah.
going, 140. Today you may be striping it and it's
150.
going
Yeah.
155 or it's only going
Yeah. You
130.
don't know.
But that's the thing that you're going to have to figure out. You're going to have to know,
Yep.
hey, man, on the last hole I just didn't hit this well. I'm going to go up a club, and It's just knowing what your numbers are.
Yeah.
I think that's probably number three.
Yeah, and I think that goes and that you can touch that into the warm up too, right? Your 7 iron and a 3 wood every single time when you go to the range, you know what your wedge is going to go. If you actually, use your rangefinder and get a target out there for your pitching wedge, so you know plus or minus whatever you're at. Same thing with your 7 iron, whatever.
Right.
So that will help.
Agree.
And then, God, what other some other stupid stuff? I mean, we kind of talked through it. And I don't know if it's just course management. Probably just pre-shot routine could come into course management, but just make sure you're set when you set up over the golf ball. You're going to do the same thing every single time.
Yeah, I think that would be solid number fours, is we just call it like posture, grip
Yep.
alignment.
Yep.
You
Take
know,
2 practice swings,
make
stand
sure
behind the golf ball, hit it. Take 2 practice swings, stand
yeah.
behind the ball, hit it.
And it's also I think the other thing that people don't realize is that when you develop and eventually that just becomes a routine, is the fact that if you're in a pressure situation, it's kind of calming.
Yeah, one less thing to have to
Maybe
worry.
you go back, you look behind it, it's like, this is a normal shot, and it just gets so ingrained. I think the other one is having, especially for amateurs, it's just having something you can use consistently around the greens. Whether that's maybe you're a guy that's just a little putting stroke with a pitching wedge to get you onto the
Yeah.
green. Having whether you're a Bryson DeChambeau or whatever, and you're using, or like Mickelson a little bit, is using the clock dial in a way to bring the club back. I want to feel like I'm at 4:30, or I want to feel like I'm at 8 o'clock, whatever you're using, or maybe you're however you want to do it. But I think having something like that in your arsenal, I think that is beneficial, and that could probably fall under club selection. But I think that's where a lot of us lose a lot of strokes, is right around the green. That dreaded one that's about a foot off in the rough from the fringe, and the green's sloping away from you, and you're like, man, it's sitting down. I want to leave it in there with a putter, those type of things.
Yeah. I mean, that's a tough one. I watched that Peter Finch, that short game specialist dude, or whatever, that European dude that's always giving the chipping lessons to all those people you see the shorts on. And he's like, where do your
Oh,
hands finish? That's not me, you know. But I
right.
do agree when I'm playing my best golf and striking the ball the best, it's the 3/4 feel, right? So I have to feel like I'm at, 10 o'clock with my hands, maybe 9, and then turn. It's actually closer to 11 or 12 o'clock, but that's what I got to think to myself.
Right. Yeah, I think those are pretty good. A pretty good five. Let's just call it necessary course management skills, because a lot of that are under course
Yeah.
management, and it really comes down to just knowing your golf game. If you're laying up on a par five and you're like, man, I don't know what to hit, but you really flush your 7 iron the most, just hit your damn 7 iron.
Yeah.
Get it up there and move on. You don't have to hit a 4 iron. Almost hitting a 4 iron is not as good as flushing your 7 iron.
Yeah.
I don't think amateurs suck as much as they think they do. I think we're a lot harder on ourselves, and I think from a mental game perspective that we are applying the pressure to ourselves. It's nobody else. Yes, in everything you do, you want to do it well, you want to play well, and that's completely understandable, but how much time do you put in it? If you're an apprentice carpenter, you're not expected to start on Monday and by Tuesday that you're building a dresser or you're building a house or whatever. You have to learn. All of us are semi-apprentice
Yeah.
golfers at this point, no matter how long we've been playing. We're not putting that effort
Yeah.
in.
I mean, even the old guys at my club that play 3 days a week, 4 days a week, you know how often they're doing a range session? Like a true practice session?
Right.
Zero.
They're not.
Yeah, they just don't do it.
They're just out there having a
Yeah,
good time.
and that's okay. And they have to be okay with their results, right? And they have to manage their own expectations, right? And that's why they love the handicap game, because they shoot between X and X 90% of the time. One other thing I thought was real funny before I brought this up, I put this in the group chat. Um, did you see the Zach Blair going to Golf Galaxy?
Oh my God, yes, because I commented on it. I said, I like the Dunes T-shirt. I said, if you know, you know. And I said, Zach, I'd love to have you on the podcast if you're
Yeah.
interested. But that was hilarious.
That was the best thing. So for people that don't know, Zach Blair, who's playing at the 3M golf tournament this weekend, went into a Golf Galaxy to get a new driver, and the fitter had no idea who he was and called him. He's probably a +1 handicap, and he thought he could be
Oh, he said he was a
one. Yeah, not
one,
a one.
and then they asked him what's his handicap, and he said he was a 2.5, and he goes, "You think so he's better than you? Do you think he could beat you?" And he's like, that guy's like,
I
"No,"
don't think
just
he's better
shaking
than me,
his.
but
Yeah, I was loving that dude.
that was great.
I often wonder, a lot of those guys, I mean, they could all do it. Not everybody's the Scotty Scheffler, Max
Yeah,
Homeless, Justin Thomas, those type guys. There's a lot of those guys that could just walk like Mad McNeely or somebody like
yeah,
that. There's a lot of those guys could walk right in there and nobody has
yeah,
any idea who the hell they are. And they're just sitting there. Just,
yeah,
well, John, I just wanted to jump on here and we'll see what everybody thinks. We're trying some new video software, trying some new audio recording
yeah.
stuff. So we wanted to do that. It's a little bit of an experiment as well as getting this podcast out. We got a lot of stuff coming up. We got some guests in the pipeline. We got our EA Karts interview that we keep talking about will be out next
Yep.
month because we got a lot of backlog, which is always a good thing
And
for
that's
us.
always
And hopefully we
Yep. He
can,
said that was good to go whenever, so that'll be cool.
and hopefully we can get back on the ball with having a lot of guests, and maybe we move back to we were doing the Tuesday
Yeah.
and Thursday podcast. We'll see how that goes. But as always, we appreciate everybody that's listening. Comment, follow, subscribe. We definitely need that. Check out our YouTube channel. And great things coming for Two Dudes, One Cart podcast. That's for
Been a
sure.
lot of fun.
Hey, everybody. Once again, thanks for listening. And don't forget, you can tune in this coming Thursday for an interview with Mr. Bob Kitchen of Maple Hill Golf. Once again, thanks for listening and have a great week and get after it.